With this MCP server, we can create connections between a module, a AI module, and another service. So basically, it's a bridge between a AI module and a local third-party service database. So it could be local, could be external, such as like Google Analytics and your model. It's a bridge between the AI and another service. But again, it can be a database, it can be something local, it can be something remote, it can be a third-party API, whatsoever. And that's what a MCP server does. So historically, before, I believe it was OpenAI, they used to call it function calling. Function calling was the original name. And now the mainstream name is Model Context Protocol, and that's from Claude. So the company that Claude is behind is Anthropic. And Anthropic, they came with this name MCP. I suggest you to have a look to the Model Context Protocol. So it's a protocol, it's a bridge to connect the dots between a model and another service, so to power, to level up a model, an AI model. Recently, I came across Google that released the Python MCP server for Google Analytics, and I think it's a brilliant idea because you can have a dashboard, you can speak to your data from Google Analytics or Google another service, could be Google Tags whatsoever, but usually Google Analytics is nice because you have a lot of data and you can speak to it with a AI model such as OpenAI, Claude, Mistral, or another one. Here, that's my little MCP server I have built, and you see we have the content. So V1, so again, with MCP we need specific endpoints, and this is the way how the protocol works. We need to have specific endpoints similar to OAuth for the authentication. Here with MCP it has the well-known, well that's kind of new actually, well-known, .well-known. It's not really mandatory, before it didn't have that, but now it's quite recommended to have this. And then we have model context, and here V1, that's the data schema. In my case I have the local one, so my data schema is this. And then I have, what else do I have? So the context roots, this is what I wanted. So the context root is 1, 2, we have the content, and that's some dummy data. And then we have model, that's something specific for like prediction, churn. So for like regression, if we want to have some regression and some specification, we can have more endpoints. And then we have, yes, Strava, that's like a third-party service because our MCP server can speak to a third-party service as well. But if we want to have a logistic regression, that's fine. And we can also do that there. So basically, if we want to do something more related to data science, we could. If we want to do something very simple, that's okay too. This is like in a different file, as you can see, the roots, but I could have had everything in one file, in index.ts, so in my case it's server.ts. That's my server. I use the port number, and then I use Fastify, but we could have used express.js or nest.js, and then I use .env because I have my env file for some data I want to store. So that's the generic data I want to store from my API. And then that's pretty much it actually. So then we have the package.json with the commands. I do have TSC to compile to JavaScript. So in my tsconfig, I mentioned I want dist for the compile folder, and so we can see in the dist folder we have all of the JavaScript compiled files, and that's coming when I do run build. And then we have prettier, so that's to clean up the data. Then we have npm run, we have tsnode dev. It's like nodemon. It uses nodemon if I'm not mistaken, but it's more recommended to have that one on development server and not on production server. On production server we would run this one, but tsnode dev is nice because it will rebuild the server automatically when we do changes in the source code. And then we have the dev dependencies and the dependencies from Fastify. Then in my README, I will publish that on GitHub as well, so don't worry, you will have everything available on GitHub. So if I do GitHub open, yes, we can go to that one. It will be available on Open Data for Science /MCP-server-API, and then from there you will see instructions. So well known, I explain a little bit for the structure why I use well known, and then to define our public thematic schema with just JSON LD and context and how it's important, and then the structure of the MCP server and utility, that's just to clean up the code, and then the default environment. Or here I have done actually a mistake. It should be, I renamed to yen port, it should be app port. So I will just quickly rename this app port, and I will add that one. I can actually generate the commit message with Copilot, and then I can just push the changes. Oh, yeah, that's fine. And so we can see now that will be, it will be added there. Alright, so that's pretty much it about our MCP server. As you can see, it's very simple. Actually, an MCP server is just a protocol, just a way to speak from two different environments, from our model and from another service, another application. And yeah, I suggest you to have a look, deeper look. So the best place to have a look is of course on the model context protocol, and you will learn quite a lot from there. You will see there are plenty of things you can learn from, and otherwise you can also Google some, or you can just ChatGPT the function calling. That's pretty much the same, function calling and MCP. And I wish you a happy AI learning.